The guy next to me kept talking about the wing. It looks bent, it's wobbly. And I'm like, oh, God. They're not telling us about the wing. The wing is damaged. Because this guy next to me keeps talking about the wing. He's like, look at the wing. The wing looks bent. It doesn't look normal. So we just like, oh, God. What up, guys? RAZE here with y'all again today. And I'm here to talk to y'all about my emergency landing out of Colombia, flying back into the Matrix, aka US of A. As y'all can see from the video, the oxygen masks finally fell down for us to use. Now these masks, we never think that we would ever have to use these things. So we never really pay attention to the flight attendant while she's explaining and showing us how to put them on, how to use them. Y'all all know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't know how to put the mask on. So when the oxygen mask fell, we all looked at each other like, what is this? What's going on? Is this a mechanical failure? Do we really need to put these on? We don't really need to put these on. But then we look down the aisle and we see the lady, the flight attendant. She has her mask already on, kneeling down in the aisle. And then we can hear Squeak say, "Put your mask on, put your mask on." We were like, oh God, this is real. She has her mask on. That means this plane is either going down and I don't know what is wrong. So we have to put our mask on. So me not really paying attention on all my flights to how to put this mask on. I try my best to put it on. I get it on halfway or whatever way I got it on, but it's covering my mouth and my nose. The person next to me at the window, he has his mask on. He put his mask on pretty quickly because he actually paid attention. I didn't. But I get it on and we're trying to suck oxygen because we don't know what's going on. Are we able to breathe? Is the plane too high? Is the cabin pressure right? We don't know. We have no idea. We didn't hear from the pilot at all. All we know is that the flight attendant had her mask on, so that means we must put our mask on also. And now, 2 minutes later, the plane starts to rumble, starts to shake, and we're like, oh God. You can hear people start to groan and moan, and I'm like, well, you know what? This plane is going down. I'm thinking in the back of my head, this plane is about to go down. Because the timing of the plane shaking and rumbling was just too fast after the oxygen mask dropped. And all I could think of, man, why did I reschedule my flight? I was supposed to leave the day before, but I rescheduled for today. So, all types of things start running in my head. I'm like, well, I had a blast in Cartagena. This would be my last flight. And if I'm going to go down, at least my last days were in Cartagena. So, about 10 minutes through the flight, the male stewardess, or the male flight attendant, whatever you call him, he comes up and says, you guys don't need your mask anymore. You don't need the oxygen mask because the masks, they weren't even working anyway. But the pilot has got us down low to where we don't need the oxygen mask. And we were just like, what? The oxygen mask wasn't working anyway? But anyway, all right, we're okay. We don't need the oxygen mask anymore. But the plane is still doing some little rumble. And he says, guys, you don't need the oxygen mask, but you must put back on your corona mask. And we are just like, what? The plane might be going down. We haven't heard from the pilot. And all you can think about is telling us to put our corona mask back on. Oh, God. Anyway, The guy next to me, he starts hyperventilating. He says he can't breathe. His nose is stuffy out of nowhere. He's huffing and puffing. And all he can concentrate on is putting back on his corona mask. And I'm telling him, dude, take that mask off and breathe. He's like, no, but I don't want the guy to walk by and see me without the mask and he gets mad. I said, dude, keep that mask off. If the guy walks by and asks, why don't you have your mask on? I tell him that you can't breathe. And I tell him to take a walk back where he came from. So the guy next to me took off his mask. He was still hyperventilating, but eventually after a few minutes, he became stable and he was able to breathe again, for the most part. So now, the male stewardess or flight attendant, he said, everything is okay, the mechanics are okay, the plane is okay, we're not going down, the plane is not going to crash, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking he's just saying that just to keep everyone calm, because we haven't heard from the captain, the guy flying the plane, at all during the whole ordeal. So we're still thinking that this plane is going down and that we all may die today. So finally, after 10 minutes in the air, with the plane going do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, the captain finally comes on the speaker and says, we're sorry guys, but we're going to have to make an emergency landing. So I'm thinking, okay, we just flew out of Bogota. We're gonna land in Medellin because it's pretty close. All right, let's get this plane down to the ground to safety. We're saved, yes. But all of a sudden he says, but we don't know if we're gonna fly into Panama City or Medellin. I'm like, oh God, Panama City. So then, later on, 5 minutes later, the pilot comes back on and says, okay guys, don't worry about the plane. We just had some problems with the cabin pressure, so that's why the mask came down. The plane is stable, but we're gonna have to make this emergency landing. Not in Medellin, but 50 minutes later into Panama City. And we're just like, oh God, why can't you land in Medellin? So now we're stuck in this plane in the air for another 50 minutes until we go to Panama City. And I'm still thinking, man, that Cartagena trip was great. This is gonna be my last trip ever. And if I gotta go, I'd rather it be with a trip to Cartagena. But eventually, the plane stopped the shaking, the wobbling, because we were going over the mountains in Bogota. And it was also bad weather. So we didn't really know what was going on. The guy next to me kept talking about the wing. It looks bent, it's wobbly. And I'm like, oh God, they're not telling us about the wing is damaged. Because this guy next to me keeps talking about the wing. He's like, look at the wing looks bent, it doesn't look normal. So we was like, oh God. So all types of things running through my mind. But eventually, the pilot comes back on again, about 35 minutes later, and says, we're about to make our landing. Let everybody be calm. This is not a crash landing. We are gonna land normally. So I'm like, okay. I'm still not sure if I believe this guy, if I believe the pilot. Like I said, I just think they're telling us this to keep us calm and to keep people from panicking inside the cockpit. But it is what it is. And it's the plane going down, about to land. I'm still thinking about that Cartagena trip. I'm like, hey, that trip was excellent. And if this plane crashed, what a way to go. But eventually the plane landed safely. in Panama City. We get off the plane, everybody's all right, no injuries, just a lot of people freaked out. We hang at the airport another 12 hours, catch our next flight, we fly back to USA safely. And all I get for my headaches and troubles thinking that I'm going to die from lack of oxygen or from the plane boom crashing, all we got from United Airlines is a measly $200 airplane credit, in which I don't think I'm ever going to use because I don't really want to fly on United ever again. So the moral of this story, guys, the reason I'm telling y'all this is because I want y'all to live every day like it's your last. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. And if you gotta go out, make sure as you're seeing the end, you think about all the great stuff and all the fun stuff you did in life. Don't go out being miserable. Don't go out saying I should have did this, I should have did that. Live life to the fullest. I'm RAZE. Like and subscribe to the channel. And I'm out.